right? Now today we'll go one step ahead and we'll learn about the latitudes and longitudes and the seasons. Okay? Latitudes, longitudes and seasons, these are the important concepts that you need to have clarity. So you might have heard about Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Equator, North Pole, South Pole. See, all of these are imaginary in nature. There's nothing physical line, there's no physical line that you can see. These are all imaginary lines. Today, we will learn about these imaginary lines and also about the significance of these imaginary lines. Right? So in the last class, we have learned that our Earth is geoid. It's a geoid shape. That means our Earth, which has little flat bottoms, and it is bulged at the equator, right? Flat near to the poles. Now this is the shape. What is this called? Okay, let's revise quickly. What is this green line called? Axis. Very good. Green line is axis of the Earth. Now this axis is the line which joins the North Pole and the South Pole. Okay? This is the axis, is the line which joins both the North Pole and the South Pole. And how many degrees is this axis tilted? Yes, in the last class, 23 and half. Okay? I told you this axis is tilted with 23 and half degrees. From where? Is it 23 and half degrees from where? In the last class I have told you our Earth axis is 23 and half degrees tilted when a perpendicular is drawn to the orbital plane of the Earth. I know many of you still get confused. What do you mean by orbital plane? ये orbital plane क्या होता है? Imaginary axis. In order to imagine, it is little difficult. So that's why I'll show you first what exactly is an orbital plane. Then things will become little easier for you. Look here. What do you mean by orbital plane? Let's see. Look at this video. Imagine if suppose there is a plane. The plane is nothing but, can you see at this circle? Now this is called an equatorial plane. Okay? This is the equator. Equator pe when you draw a plane, that is called as equatorial plane. Look. Imagine I have put a cardboard. Okay? What I have done is put a cardboard in the center of the Earth. Now that is called as the plane. Right? Now same way, if suppose I am taking this Earth. Okay? This is the Earth. Earth also has its own orbit, right? Now what is this orbit? The orbit goes like this. Just imagine this is your sun. Our Earth goes around the sun in this orbit. Now just imagine like the equatorial plane. Equatorial plane मतलब समझ गए आप लोग? It's just a plane. It's a two-dimensional thing. Likewise, imagine this is a plane. That means from this plane, when you draw a perpendicular line, I told you the perpendicular line is this. This angle is 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Right? This is 90 degrees angle, 90 degrees angle. So, from this perpendicular, our axis, this is our axis, right? Now this axis is tilted for 23.5 degrees. Clear है? अभी भी doubt है? Yes? That means what I'll do is I'll draw a perpendicular line here. Look, the red color line which I am going to draw is a perpendicular line on the orbit. Perpendicular line is nothing but a normal, a straight line, 90 degree line. So this angle is 90 degrees. If I am drawing a line here, 90 degrees. So likewise, this is 90 degrees. But this angle, the angle between the axis, this is axis, right? This axis and this angle is 23.5. So our Earth axis is tilted 23.5 degrees from a perpendicular line when it is drawn to the orbital plane of the Earth. Okay? Earth orbital plane. If you're clear with this, rest of the geography is quite easy. Now just have a look here. This is called as an equatorial plane. Likewise, our equatorial plane is nothing but wherever that equator is there, you just imagine put a cardboard on that line, that is called as an orbital plane. Now look here, the sun is there. Sun will also have its own orbital plane. Okay? I told you sun rotates, sun revolves. Yes, sun rotates, sun revolves. But sun is revolving around what? Yes. See, Earth rotates. Rotation is nothing but, imagine I am the Earth, I rotate. This is called rotation. Revolution is, I keep you as the center and I go round and round about you. That is called revolution. Earth rotates around itself and revolves around the sun. Earth takes 24 hours to rotate. Earth takes 365 days plus 1/4 of a day to revolve around the sun. And the sun, for every 12 years, it takes to make one full rotation. Okay? Sorry, just a minute. Sun takes 12 years to change its axis. Okay? Not rotation. Sun takes 12 years to change its axis. Now, sun revolves around the Milky Way galaxy. Every celestial body which is there, it is always revolving. Right? This is what you got to learn. Now, today, we'll try to understand about what is a summer solstice, what is a winter solstice, what is equinox, why do we have 6 months of sunlight in the North Pole and 6 months of darkness near the North Pole. These logics you will get to understand on a practical note. So these are some small animations which will also help you in understanding how the Earth and Sun's reactions you will get to see. This is the orbital plane, right? This is the orbit around which the Earth is rotating. Look here. What is from the equator? Imagine this is the equator, right? Now what is this line? Axis. That means this is the South Pole, this is the North Pole. Now if suppose I am taking this line, this is what is orbital plane. Okay, this is the orbital plane. Earth rotates on this line. Now from here, what I am doing? I am drawing a perpendicular line. Now this angle is 23.5 degrees, right? ये जो एंगल है 23.5 है. Clear? That means what is this angle? 66.5 degrees, right? So examiner ना हमेशा यहीं पे confuse करने के लिए कोशिश करेंगे, and they'll ask you, Earth axis is 23.5 degrees tilted from its orbital plane. Is the statement right? Earth axis is tilted 23.5 degrees from its orbital plane. Is the statement correct or wrong? Let me repeat it. Earth's axis is tilted 23.5 degrees from its orbital plane. इतना confidently सही कहा. Confidently you will get 0.66 marks negative. No yaar. See, let me repeat the question. Earth's axis, this is Earth's axis, right? Earth's axis is 23.5 degrees tilted from orbital plane. Now, where is the orbital plane? ये आपका orbital plane हो गया ना? ठीक है, this is orbital plane. Now, is this 23.5 degrees tilted? It is 66.5. So, the answer is 66.5 degrees tilted. Now, if the same statement, examiner यही सब पूछता है, he'll ask, the Earth's axis is 23.5 degrees tilted from when a perpendicular is drawn to the orbital plane of the Earth. राइट? यहाँ पे कीवर्ड्स क्या जानना चाहिए? व्हाट इज एन ऑर्बिटल प्लेन, ये जानना चाहिए आपको. एक्सिस क्या है, दैट यू नीड टू नो. राइट? क्लियर? ओके. सो ब्रॉडली questions can be asked on these lines. Today we are going to learn about this earth itself. Now before we go any further, I have to tell you what is a latitude, what is a longitude. ठीक है? How many of you have used the coordinates latitude, longitude? कहां पे यूज किया आपने? GPS. ठीक है? Have you ever used location based system? Swiggy यूज किया? Zomato? Uber, Ola. If suppose directly or indirectly, if you are using any of these services, you are using the coordinates, you are using the latitudes and longitudes. See, firstly, our today's topic is the concept of longitudes. See, latitudes and longitudes, very important concept. आपको लगता है आपको सब कुछ आता है, but no, trust me, there are many ways in which you have to see this concept. Also make some running notes. ठीक है? Running notes के साथ साथ I'll also dictate at the end. Right? Now first, few basics. We'll go to the concept of latitude. Firstly, can anyone define me what is a latitude? Yes? Yes, say it loud. Latitudes are parallel to equator. This is what she says. What are you saying? Latitudes are imaginary lines which are parallel to the equator. This is what you can say. But this is not the exactly correct definition. First you need to know how did we draw this latitude. Latitudes are drawn by human beings itself. ठीक है? These lines are not there on the earth. Remember that. These lines are not there on the earth. These are imaginary lines. We just imagine this is our earth, and our earth, I'll draw the latitude. This is your equator. This is Tropic of Cancer. This is Arctic Circle. This is Tropic of Capricorn. This is Antarctic Circle. These lines are not there on the earth. Just we are trying to imagine. ऐसा है करके. Right? So, you should think that why did we draw these lines? What is the need for these lines? And when did we draw it? ठीक है, I understand all of these things, but why did we draw it? Why did we draw these lines? Online? Prince? Yes, you said? Navigation purpose के लिए हमने draw किया. Very good. Yes, that is for the navigation purposes. But who drew it? Did we measure the tape? हमने tape पकड़ के हर जगह गया क्या? No. See, firstly, yes. दिन और रात का भी पता चल जाता है. See, firstly, you need to understand how old are these latitudes and longitudes. When did we start to move across these latitudes and longitudes? See, when did we first see the shape of the earth from the space? Until and unless we had aeroplanes, until and unless we went into the space, we never saw the exact shape of the earth. Right? The aeroplane started to develop when? World War time पे innovation हुआ था aeroplanes का. उससे पहले there used to be hot air balloons. They used to try to go into the air with the help of the hot air balloons, and now first itself there are many people who have been questioned, or if they said that earth is round, they have been killed. You know? Have you heard of Socrates? Greeks. See, initially Greeks were the one who used to study a lot. ठीक है? We'll go a little more into history and try to understand what exactly the origin and evolution of these latitudes and longitudes, so that you will get a bigger perspective into it. See, across the globe when you look into, you will understand that there are few areas where advanced research has went into the earth studies. You look into the history, across the history. Whenever you wanted to study about the science of the earth, it is Aryabhatta. ठीक है? 6th century, 5th century AD में Aryabhatta started to study about the space. He is considered to be a scientist. Likewise, you go to the Greeks. Greeks are also the one who also studied about the earth. Later on, you will see zero came into picture, then calculations became little more easier, but the advanced contributions into the space science is given by Arabs. Now what is this Arab? Arab is nothing but Middle East. Iran, जहाँ desert area था. Wherever you find the desert area, there very advanced studies are done with respect to space. Not now, in the initial days I am telling. Why? Why most of the advanced research is done in the desert area or in the high altitudes? देखो, as he rightly said, उनका climatic conditions अच्छा था. See, when you go near to the polar region or when you are staying near to the deserts रात को clear skies दिखता है. The skies are very clear in the deserts during the night time. And तारे ऐसे दिखता है ना, as if they are very near to us. The bright stars, clear weather. So that's why deserts, people who are living in the desert area and all, they can see the sky very clearly. So that's why they used to study, this is the star, that is something. Things have become easier for them. Likewise, in India also, much of the innovations took place with respect to the space science in the earlier time period when our scientists were visiting in the northwestern part, especially in the desert area. Aryabhatta, उन्होंने भी वहाँ पे गया था, he studied there. So calculations of the space science came from there. But later on, when you learn that when people wanted to move from one place to another place, they always wanted coordinates. Coordinates are nothing but these are imaginary lines. We have given certain points to each and every place on the earth. Now using that coordinates today we travel. Be it aeroplane, be it your shipping industry, be it your GPS system, global positioning system. All the systems are based on this latitude and longitude. Now in this concept, you have to understand how did we draw these latitudes. Okay? See, for that you need to have an idea that latitudes are nothing but imaginary lines which are drawn from the center of the earth. Okay? Which are drawn from the center of the earth. From the center of the earth, if you are making any angles and joining those points across the globe, that became a latitude. I know the language seems to be a little difficult, but I'll make it simplified for you. Now imagine that this is your earth. Okay? I'll cut the earth into two equal halves. Now this two equal halves is nothing but a line, imaginary line that is cutting the earth into two equal halves. This is called as equator or 0 degree latitude. Now from here, I'll take the center point of the earth. Center point of the earth is nothing but, this is the center point of the earth. Right? Now from the central point of the earth, what I'll do is, I'll make an angle. What is this angle? Randomly batana. Imagine what I'll do is, to make it little more easier for you. Just imagine this is an angle. Right? For example, this is the angle, this is 3 degrees. Right? This is 8 degrees. This angle, now this entire angle, this can be any randomly you tell a number. Right? I can draw on and on these lines. What is my reference point? My reference point is the center of the earth, and that to center of the earth is center of the earth. Right? From here we started. Now what did we do further is, I have pointed, for example, like this, I have different points on the globe which are making 14 degrees. Right? Now this particular line is nothing but your 14 degree latitude, right? Likewise, if I go for another angle, now this angle, it can be 35 degrees, right? Now, when I am taking the center of the earth means literally the center of the earth I am talking about. From there, all the points that are making 14 degrees I am going to join. All the points that are making 35 degrees I will join the points. For example, like this. Now this particular line will be 35 degree latitude. Right? Likewise, I can draw multiple latitudes. Right? Now if you look here, latitude is nothing but lines which are parallel to each other. Is this statement right? Latitudes are imaginary lines that move from, this is west, this is east. Okay? That always move from west to east. Right? They are parallel to each other. Clear? The distance between two latitudes is same. The distance between two latitudes is same, more or less same. Okay? More or less same. It is 110 kilometers. Okay? 110 point change kilometers. As you go towards the poles, it will slightly vary. Remember these points. Right? Okay. Now, I also know that it is little more difficult for you to imagine, so I will show you a small video. The origin of the latitude and longitude concept, it always started from the center of the earth. Now, what do you mean by center of the earth? Not on the surface. Not on the surface. Inside. Just imaginary lines we have drawn. We have used technology. Okay? So, let's try to understand this through a small animation. Look at this video. Just look into it. Writing बाद में कर सकते हो. See here. What we have done is, equator is a line which cuts the earth into two equal halves. That is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. मतलब अगर कहीं पे भी समझ नहीं आया ना, please ask, because these are the fundamental topics. Now if I am going to, we know that what is the axis of the earth. This is the axis of the earth. From this axis, if we have taken a line which cuts the earth into two equal halves, right? We call this as 0 degrees equator, and this is northern hemisphere and this is southern hemisphere. Equator cuts the earth into two equal halves, making the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Now this equator is nothing but the line, this line. Similarly, we have taken a line, imaginary line from North Pole to South Pole, and we have joined this line. Now that line is called as 0 degree longitude. Right? 0 degree longitude. So, see here, look at this video. What I have done is, I went into the center of the earth. Right? From the center of the earth, I'll take that point and I will start to make angles from there. Can you understand? I made an angle. This is an angle. Likewise, I'll draw lines. And these lines I'll join. How will I join? Now this is how we have drawn latitudes. Literally, these are all imaginary in nature. Right? Who did this? UK. Okay? The Great Britain have done this project. We have to give that credit to the Great Britain. And see here, whenever you come across the study of geography, always the study of geography takes place with respect to the northern hemisphere. ठीक है? हमेशा हम geography ना northern hemisphere की perspective से पढ़ाया जाता है, क्योंकि the world research always happened in the northern hemisphere. UK was considered to be the pioneers in the research. India Likewise, many studies have done in the northern hemisphere as compared to the southern hemisphere. So that's why the significance is always with respect to northern hemisphere. So our reference is also northern hemisphere. अब समझ में आया ना लैटिट्यूड्स हमने कैसे ड्रॉ किया. ओके 18 डिग्रीज है, ये बन गया 18. नाउ लाइकवाइज ईच एंड एवरी पॉइंट वी पॉइंटेड एंड दैट पॉइंट्स वी स्टार्टेड टू ड्रॉ इट. बट हियर few latitudes will have higher significance. Now those latitudes are nothing but Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle. Now why this I'll also tell you. अब तो समझ में आ गया ना, ठीक है. Now 90 degrees latitude को significance इतना ज्यादा क्यों है? In simple terms, 90 degrees latitude is none other than it is the 90 degrees latitude will coincide with poles. यहां देखो, this angle with the north pole is 90 degrees. ठीक है, 90 degrees latitude will coincide with poles, right? North pole and south pole. Okay. Can you imagine this? Now come to longitudes. How did we draw longitudes? Same way, what we have done is we have cut the earth into two slices, that is vertical slices. We have to take one or the other point, we have to take it as a reference, right? वो point कौन सा हुआ जो reference point? Greenwich, ठीक है, Greenwich prime meridian. See, basically it is in UK. All the scientists are from UK. Now they wanted that their astronomical society should be very, very strong. So what they have chosen is Greenwich. Greenwich is a place. There, their research center is there. Now they have decided that this is the place. This will be considered as the prime meridian. This will be the line. I'll draw it as the center of the earth. From here, they have drawn a line. Right? From there on, you measure the angles. देखो, angles ऐसे measure किया जाता है. Right? Now I'll join all the points like this. This is one, another longitude. This is another longitude. Longitude. So likewise, these longitudes will be joined. Now, in simple terms, all I wanted to say is they are imaginary lines. अब समझ में आया latitudes and longitudes कैसे draw किया जाता है? Clear? Any doubts you can ask online. Okay. Now come to the important latitudes and longitudes. See, the important latitudes and longitudes are, this is your axis. That is North Pole and South Pole. And in which direction the earth rotates? The earth always rotates from west to east. So the earth always rotates in west to east direction. So इसीलिए this is how it is represented. Right? It is always rotating from west to east. Right? हाँ, anti-clockwise. So now see here, if suppose this is axis, what I am doing? I am making an equator. Equator is a line which makes 90 degrees with axis, and it also makes 90 degrees with North Pole and 90 degrees with South Pole also. Now equator is nothing but 0 degrees latitude. Likewise, at 23.5 degrees, 23.5 degrees north, this is called as, what is it called as? Tropic of Cancer. Likewise, the 66.5 degrees latitude, this is called as, yes, Arctic Circle. एक छोटा सा होमवर्क है. Arctic Circle passes through which countries? ठीक है, this is a homework for you. It passes through 8 countries directly or indirectly. Arctic Council करके भी एक council है. Please take this as a homework and write it in the same side notes. ठीक है? How many countries does the Arctic Circle passes through? And how many countries are there in Arctic Council? Now, likewise, in the southern hemisphere, if you go, you will see the 23.5 degrees south. ठीक है? And those latitudes which are north of the equator, they are represented with north. They are represented with degrees north. ठीक है? This is 90 degrees north, which is also called as North Pole. I know this information is very, very basic, but let me give out the clarity on this and then we'll go any further. So any latitude, any place which is south of the equator, which is called as, yes, southern latitudes. So this is 66.5 degrees south. So 66.5 degrees south, this is called as Antarctic Circle. And 23.5 degrees south, this is called as Capricorn. Right? Now the region between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, it is called as, the region between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn is called as torrid zone. ठीक है? The region between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn is called as torrid zone. Torrid is generally a hot zone. ठीक है? Torrid मतलब यहाँ पे गर्मी ज्यादा होता है. It is hot as compared to other regions. Because at one or the other point of time, this particular region will receive the sunlight directly. This concept you will understand by the end of today's class. So this is torrid zone. Likewise, you go little north. The area between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, you will call it as temperate zone. Now these are called as the heat zones. ठीक है? ये सब heat zones कहाँ जाता है? This is called as north temperate zone. Right? Likewise, the area between Tropic of Capricorn and Arctic Circle, this is called as south temperate zone. Now these are nothing but the heat zones. The heat zones of the earth. Right? Likewise, this is in the north, this is called as the area between poles and Arctic Circle is called as Arctic zone or polar zone. Polar or Arctic zone, this is called as Antarctic or polar zone. Right? So here, as compared to all the three zones, your Tropic of, the area between Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn will receive the highest amount of heat. ठीक है? और ये देखो, जहां पे सबसे ज्यादा हीट होता है, वहां पे सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन भी होता है, वहां पे वेजिटेशन भी ज्यादा होता है. Wherever you have high amount of heat, plants can grow well, trees can grow well, vegetation can be there. In search of that plants, you will find animals. The population of the species is also very high. Sun is considered to be the primary source of energy for all the living beings on the earth. That's why today you look into world's most population is always between these two places. Right? Clear hai? Now these are considered to be latitudes. But now you need to know, latitudes helps us to travel from east to west or north to south. Latitudes helps us to travel from east to west or north to south. If my question is, does latitude help us to travel from east to west or north to south? क्यों? लॉजिक बताओ मुझे. चलो, I'll give you two. For example, Shaurya says And Asta says, sir, latitude helps us to move from north to south, not east to west. Right? Why? Yes, give me a logic. Degree channels banayenge, very good. See, if I tell you east to west, if I give you 0 degrees latitude, you will go only travel on the 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But if you know that from 0, if you have to travel 23, you know that from here to here I have to travel. It is actually north to south, not east to west. ईस्ट टू वेस्ट ट्रैवल करने के लिए आप लॉन्गिट्यूड्स का इस्तेमाल करते हो, ठीक है. दिस यू विल अंडरस्टैंड आफ्टर सम टाइम, बट ओवरऑल दिस इज द पिक्चर ऑफ द लैटिट्यूड्स. और कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स भी जानना चाहिए आपको. देखो, आर दिस लैटिट्यूड्स पैरेलल टू ईच अदर? इज ईच एंड एवरी लैटिट्यूड पैरेलल टू ईच अदर? Now look at this quickly. This is a small facts. Latitudes are also known as parallel lines on the earth. ठीक है, imaginary parallel lines on the earth. Number 1. Number 2, they run in east-west. ठीक है, either west to east. This is your east. This is your west. ठीक है, they run from east to west or west to east. You know this? Now they help us measure the distance from north to south. ठीक है, not east to west. They help us in understanding or measuring the distance north-south from the equator. ठीक है, remember this. They help us in understanding the length from north-south of the equator. Right? If I tell you I have to move from 0 degrees to 23 and 40 degrees, I told you the distance between two latitudes is always same except near to the poles, right? 111 kilometers होता है, 110 से 111 kilometers, right? समझ गया? They are parallel to each other, they never meet. Do you agree to that point? Next, first suppose if I am drawing a prime meridian, just सबको पता है ना prime meridian क्या है? Prime meridian मतलब longitude, like earth, a line which divides earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere is called as equator. Like that, I'll draw a line from one pole to another pole that divides the earth into east and the west. Just imagine I am drawing a line that divides the earth into two parts. That is, this is the line which I am connecting the north pole and the south pole. And this line will divide the earth into east and the west. Now I'll call this line as the first line which I have drawn. I'll call this as prime meridian, and that prime meridian is also called as 0 degrees longitude. Now what are longitudes? Longitudes are the imaginary lines that join the north pole to the south pole. Equator is an imaginary line that cuts the earth into two equal halves, that is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Equator cuts the earth into, if this is the equatorial line, it cuts the earth, divides the earth into, this is northern hemisphere and this is southern hemisphere. Longitude divides the earth into eastern and western hemispheres. ठीक है? If I'll give you a statement, the equator divides the earth into eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. Is this statement right? False. ठीक है? It is not equator, it is a prime meridian. Prime meridian divides the earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Eastern and western. ठीक है? ये भी एक possibility है एग्जामिनर आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछने का, तो यहाँ पे भी ध्यान देना चाहिए. And PCS examinations, state examinations, if you are writing, these are the questions that will be asked. So are you clear with these points? You can also write, ठीक है, these points. Next, they cross the prime meridian at right angles. Now look at this point. See, what is the angle which is made between equator and prime meridian? What is the angle that is made between equator and prime meridian? Just look here. All these lines which I am going to draw, they are latitudes. This is a latitude, this is a latitude. Multiple latitudes I have drawn. Now I am drawing a prime meridian. This is prime meridian, it is a longitude. Right? what are the angles which are made? All these angles are 90 degrees. That means equator as well as all the latitudes make perpendicular degrees with the longitudes. ठीक है? Or else latitudes cross the prime meridian at right angles. Clear? Next, they lie in planes that cross the Earth's axis at right angles. ठीक है? Earth axis means this is the axis. Now imagine each latitude is a plane. Plane मतलब समझ गया है ना starting में क्या है? Each latitude is a plane. Now when each latitude is a plane, now that plane will make right angles with the axis. Right? Now see, last point, they get shorter towards the poles with only the equator, the longest, a greatest circle. Now look here, if I take the circumference of each latitude, circumference मतलब समझते हो? For example, just imagine this circle, right? If I am opening up the entire length of the circle, I am opening it up and I am measuring the length. ठीक है? हाँ. For example, in simple terms, this is the earth. ठीक है? This is point A. This is point B. This is point C, point D, point E, point F. Now you tell me whose length is more long? A to B का length ज़्यादा होगा. As I am moving from equator towards the poles, this is poles. As I am moving from equator towards the poles, the circumference is nothing but, look at this place. If I am taking this 90 degrees, this entire length, if I am opening up from, imagine this is point A and this is point B. A to B, this is the length. Now imagine I have drawn point C and point D next. D to C, again, now this becomes the circumference. Right? Because many students are also there from the arts, they don't know what is circumference. In simple terms, you open up the circle and the length of that circle, that is called circumference. Now see here, the circumference from the equator towards the poles, every latitude circumference will reduce. Now which is the biggest imaginary circle on the earth? Equator. Which is the smallest imaginary circle that you can draw on the earth? 90 degrees north and the 90 degrees south, and that the smallest imaginary circle is nothing but a point. ठीक है? Clear with this? So these are the few facts that you need to know. Now I'll give you few minutes, quickly write down the definition of axis. Write down axis. Axis is an imaginary straight line. Axis is an imaginary straight line joining two poles on which the earth rotates. Axis is an imaginary straight line joining two poles on which the earth rotates. Next, poles. Definition of poles. Poles, the 2 points on the earth through which the imaginary axis passes through. The 2 points on the earth through which the imaginary axis passes through. The 2 points on the earth through which the imaginary axis passes through. Next, latitude. A latitude is an imaginary line और ब्रैकेट में लिखो imaginary circle. Imaginary circles running parallel to the equator. Running parallel to the equator. Next point, latitude measures the angular distance. Latitude measures the angular distance of a given point from the equator. Latitude measures the angular distance of a given point from the equator. Do you understand the last point which you have written? Angular distance matlab the latitude actually measures the angle from the center of the earth. Right? Now quickly take down these points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes to write down online quickly. Clear? So did you take the diagram of this torrid zone? What is the tropic zone? Now these are called as the heat zones. The important latitudes are number 1, equator, which is 0 degrees. That is equator. 23.5 degrees north, Tropic of Cancer. 23.5 degrees north, Tropic of Cancer. Sorry. 66.5 degrees north, his Arctic Circle. Okay? See, this is also called as frigid zone as well. This is also frigid zone. Arctic zone, polar zone, or frigid zone. Right? All the three are same. Next. 23.5 degrees south. 23.5 degrees south is called as Tropic of Capricorn. 23.5 degrees south is called as Tropic of Capricorn. 66.5 degrees south is called as Antarctic Circle. And 90 degrees south is South Pole. And 90 degrees south is South Pole. Right? Are you clear with latitudes? Now we'll go towards the longitudes. Arctic Circle or North Pole के बीच में this entire region is called as frigid zone. ठीक है? हाँ, this is North frigid. This is South frigid. ठीक है? This is South temperate. And that is North temperate. North torrid, South torrid. Right? याद रखना ये सब basics है, but in the further time period we are going to use these terms again and again. Clear? Now let's go to longitudes. See, like latitudes, longitudes are also measuring the angular distance, but between east and west. ठीक है? अब longitudes literally help in calculating the time. You know, as compared to latitudes, longitudes are compared to be more important. See, if there is a delay in the time, longitudes help in calculating the time. as compared to latitudes, longitudes help in calculation of time, east, west. ये ध्यान से याद रखो. See here. What we have done is, we have taken, you know that this is the axis, this is the North Pole, this is the South Pole, right? Now, see, all those longitudes, they are semicircles. Longitudes are semicircles, whereas latitudes are full circles. So latitudes are circles, longitudes are semicircles. You might be thinking, sir, ये longitude semicircle कैसा है? See here. Look at this. This is the North Pole and this is the South Pole. There is a line that is joining. This is longitude. Likewise, from here, this is the center point. I'll make certain angle. Okay? I'll draw some angles. Now these angles, if you join these two lines, all the way from pole to pole, हमेशा ये ध्यान रखना, they are always from pole to pole. These longitudes are always joining both the poles, right? They are semicircles. Exactly, if you see, can you see this particular longitude? This one. ठीक है? The opposite side of the earth. This is the opposite side of the earth, right? Do you agree? So this is one longitude. The opposite side of the earth is considered to be another longitude. ठीक है? समझ गया? इसीलिए, look at this. Is this a circle or semicircle? हाँ. First, longitudes are always semicircles. Latitudes are always full circles. अब समझ में आया? So the first longitude that we have drawn is nothing but the Greenwich, which a line or a semicircle which is connecting the North Pole to the South Pole. But that line is passing through the place called Greenwich. Now this Greenwich is located in Britain. Now it is because that is the place where all the decisions were being taken. Right? So इसीलिए that line which is connecting the North Pole and the South Pole, the first line which we have drawn, we'll call it as prime meridian or Greenwich meridian. Right? So Greenwich meridian is the longitude which divides or which is considered to be the first longitude. Now, taking this Greenwich meridian, what we have done is we have divided the earth, entire earth, into eastern part of the earth and western part of the earth. Right? Now see here, you might have thought about, I'm traveling to the west. Western countries, Eastern countries, Central countries. ये सब कहाँ से शुरुआत हुआ? इसी से. It is UK. UK को ये लगता है, Britain, the British को ये लगता है that they are in the center of the world. Right? They say that East. Japan को East कहते हैं ये लोग. They call it as West. US को West कहते हैं. It is because they feel that prime meridian is passing through me. I am the center. I'll call you as the East, I'll call you as the West. And that's why you see US which is there here and South America which is there here. They call it with respect to their names. And rest of the world is their colonies. This is how they used to think. And of course it is true. You learn in history that UK's colonies are n number. India is also one of the colonies. Sri Lanka is also one of the colonies. South America, South Africa. कई सारे ऐसे colonies है. There are many colonies that were there. So इसीलिए Middle East, they call it as Middle East. Now what is that Middle East? For whom it is Middle East? For not for America. British. ठीक है? See here. Look at this map. This is prime meridian, right? It is exactly passing through London, the British. Now, what they think is that If this is the center of the earth, they'll call this as east. Now this is center of the east. That's why they call it as Middle East. Entire this Arabian Peninsula. Okay? Now they call it as west. US as west. Right? Central Asia. This is in the central part of the Asia. They call it as Central Asia. South Asia. We are South Asia. Okay? SAARC countries. Southeast Asia. See, look here. This is the center. For them, this is the east. So, this is southeast. Okay? Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, all these countries. So, all these namings also came from this particular orientation. Right? Now, come back to longitudes. See, the line, this prime meridian is considered to be the primary longitude, and those places which are east of the prime meridian are called as eastern longitudes, west are called as western longitudes. But, dekho, the line exactly opposite to the prime meridian, there should be a line, right? Now that is called as 180 degree longitude. Okay? That is called as 180 degree longitude, and that longitude is also called as international dateline. Okay? IDL. Now this is 0, right? Earth rotates how many degrees? Suppose if this is prime meridian, this is prime meridian. What I'll do is, to make it little more easier, I'll move the prime meridian to here. Can you see this prime meridian? This is a prime meridian, right? Can you see this? Now what is the opposite line to the prime meridian? Yes, very good. 180 degree opposite line. So can I draw this 180 degree line here somewhere? Right? So this is 180 degree line. Clear? But we have taken prime meridian as the east and west. It's the center and east and the west. Now those places which are located west of the prime meridian are western places, and east of the prime meridian are called as east. But once you reach to the international dateline, once you reach to the east international dateline, how will you decide dates? How will you decide time? How will you decide east or west? अब ये सब सवाल कई सारे साइंटिस्ट को था. What they have taken is, see here, for suppose, look here. This is your prime meridian. Can you see this 10 degrees east line, 10 degrees west line? So, if I am drawing a longitude here, and if I am also drawing a longitude here, I'll call this line as 10 degrees, and this is also 10 degrees. But this is west, this is east. Now likewise, if I am moving little further, imagine this is my 40 degrees, this is my 40 degrees east, this is my 40 degrees west. ऐसे मैं कहाँ तक जा सकता हूँ? How many longitudes I can move east of it and west of it? How many degrees? ठीक है. अब आप बताओ, if I am moving from eastern side, ठीक है, I am moving from the eastern side exactly to the opposite side of the prime meridian. ठीक है, how many degrees it will make? सबको पता है 180. क्यों 180 है? देखो, if I am the earth, my nose is my prime meridian, right? I'll call this as my western part of the face, and this is eastern part of the face. If I am going all around, exactly the opposite side is my center of my head. Now I'll call this as international dateline, right? So all these places, this is my right ear, this is my left ear, right? Likewise, our earth will also have the eastern longitudes and western longitudes. Both the eastern longitudes and western longitudes will go and join at 180 degrees longitude, right? That's why 180 degrees longitude is also taken as the international date line. ठीक है, international date line. अब one more question I wanted to ask. If I am the Earth and I am making one full circle, how many degrees I'll be rotating? एक circle rotates 360 degrees. ठीक है? In how many minutes? You look into this Earth. Earth is making one full circle in how many minutes or how many hours? ये समझ में आ रहा है क्या सबको? अर्थ इज अ सर्किल, मोर और लेस स्पेरिकल है. एक फुल सर्किल करने में कितना टाइम ले रहा है? अर्थ इज रोटेटिंग 360 डिग्रीज इन हाउ मेनी? 24 आवर्स. राइट नाउ इफ 1 आवर में हाउ मेनी डिग्रीज द अर्थ रोटेट्स? Simple mathematic calculations. Yes? Cross multiply करो 365 by 360 by 24 once. कितना? सही है, गलत हो? Yes? 24 hours is equal to 360 degrees. 1 hour equals to how many degrees? Earth is making 360 degrees in how much time? 24 hours. एक घंटे में कितना घूम रहा है? How many degrees it is moving? 15 डिग्री. ये मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशंस 15 डिग्री है ना? मतलब I'll make it little more simplified for you. Earth is rotating 15 degrees in how many minutes? 1 hour equals to how many minutes? 60 minutes. अब आप बताओ 1 degree is equal to how many minutes? 1 degree, Earth moves 1 degree in how many minutes? ये कैलकुलेशन सबको पता है? चलो फिर भी मैं कर ही लेता हूं. बेसिकली वेन एवर यू हैव दिस, वॉट यू हैव टू डू इज यू हैव टू क्रॉस मल्टीप्लाई. सिंपली 60 into 1 is 60 divided by 15 into 15 degrees. So 15 ones are 15 fours are. Our answer will be 15 into. So 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. That means for every 4 minutes, Earth will rotate 1 degree. For every 4 minutes, I'll be rotating 1 degree and I'll make a 360 degrees in 24 hours. Now this has helped us to calculate the time. Right? First, suppose I'll ask you a question. This is 10 degrees east, right? This is 10 degrees west. ये लॉन्गिट्यूड का कॉन्सेप्ट तो समझ में आया. लॉन्गिट्यूड्स आर द लाइन्स विच आर ड्रॉइंग नॉर्थ पोल टू साउथ पोल विच वी आर कनेक्टिंग. राइट नाउ ईच लाइन द डिस्टेंस, दिस इज द प्राइम मेरिडियन, रेड कलर इज द प्राइम मेरिडियन, दिस इज 10 degrees east. सो आई टोल्ड यू अर्थ रोटेट्स 360 degrees in how many hours? 24 hours. So 1 hour is equal to, Earth will cover 15 degrees, right? And 1 degree Earth will move in 4 minutes. For every 4 minutes, Earth is going to move 1 degree. अब आप बताओ what is the distance between 10 degrees west and 10 degrees east? Or what is the time between 10 degrees east and 10 degrees west? I told you longitudes helps us in calculating the time, right? So what is the time difference between these two longitudes? If suppose this is east, this is west, right? Sun is here. Sun always rises in the east. हाँ, east जो है, it is always ahead. Those places which are ईस्ट ऑफ ग्रीनविच मेरिडियन, ईस्ट ऑफ प्राइम मेरिडियन, दे आर ऑलवेज अहेड. ठीक है, अहेड इन टाइम. दोज प्लेसेस विच आर वेस्ट ऑफ प्राइम मेरिडियन, दे आर behind right? So if suppose this is the time is 1 p.m. here at 40 degrees east, right? What will be the time at 10 degrees east? टाइम बताओ. देखो मैं कह रहा हूं एट ए प्लेस कॉल्ड 40 डिग्रीज ईस्ट ऑन दिस लॉन्गिट्यूड. ये सारे लॉन्गिट्यूड्स पे टाइम सेम ही होता है. ठीक है, अब इस लॉन्गिट्यूड पे 40 डिग्रीज ईस्ट लॉन्गिट्यूड पे आई टोल्ड यू द टाइम इज 1 p.m. नाउ यू टेल मी व्हाट इज द टाइम एट 10 डिग्रीज ईस्ट लॉन्गिट्यूड. व्हाट इज द टाइम हियर? हियर सिंपल है, 1 डिग्री इज इक्वल टू 4 minutes, राइट? 1 डिग्री इज इक्वल टू 4 minutes. So what is the difference between these two? 10 and 40, how many degrees variation is there? 30. So 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. 30 degrees is equals to how many minutes? फिर 40 कैसे आ गया? 10, चलो ये नहीं, 40 and 30. So इन दोनों के बीच में डिफरेंस क्या था? Let's see online, they are very quick to answer, very good. So the distance between these two longitudes is 30 degrees. Variation is there. If 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes, 30 degrees is equal to how many minutes? 120 minutes. ठीक है, ये 120 minutes. तो if time is 1 p.m. here, what will be the time here? 2 घंटे है ना, 120 मतलब 2 घंटे. यस, सब लोग राजी है. 11 बज रहे हैं यहां पर, सुबह 11 बज रहा है, यहां पे 1 बज रहा है. सो लाइक वाइज नाउ यू जस्ट इमेजिन, एज दिस लॉन्गिट्यूड्स ऑलवेज हेल्प इन कैलकुलेटिंग द टाइम, बट देर शुड बी ए एंड ऑफ द डे, स्टार्ट ऑफ द डे. कहीं ना कहीं तो शुरुआत होना चाहिए ना. वी एज ह्यूमन बींग्स वी शुड बी कन्वीनियंट टू कैलकुलेट. देर शुड बी द एंड ऑफ द डे. टुडे द डे शुड एंड, टुमारो द डे शुड स्टार्ट. So what we have done is we have taken these all calculations into picture and we have decided, by SAP, I'll take the ideal international date line. Now where is this ideal? Behind the prime meridian. If you have your atlas, open your atlas. ठीक है, और सब लोग atlas के साथ आना है रोज क्लास में. वर्ल्ड मैप ओपन करो. Anyways, I'll show it to you, not an issue. On the world map, this international date line actually passes through the Pacific Ocean, right? So ये क्लियर है, समझ में आया? अगर किसी को डाउट्स है, यू कैन आस्क मी ऑनलाइन. यस, वेरी गुड प्रिंस. 11 AM विल बी द टाइम. ऑनलाइन प्लीज बी लिटिल रेस्पॉन्स देते रहना ताकि आसान हो जाएगा. ओके, यस यस. देखो, लेट्स गो टू इंडिया. आई गॉट योर डाउट. Look at this place and look at this place. Right? So, sun rises where first? If this is the sun, basically, Earth always moves from west to east. Earth ऐसे घूम रहे हो तो, if there is a person who is standing here and a person who is standing here, this is B and this is A. Who will see the sunrise first? A. Now, first suppose, I'll give you a longitude, just random longitudes number देता हूँ, right? So, if suppose this is 92 degrees east, this longitude is 92 degrees east, ठीक है? And this is 72 degrees east. Randomly I'm giving you 72 degrees east. आप बताओ what is the time difference between point A, which is also India, and point B, which is also India. ठीक है, आइडियल कैलकुलेशंस के हिसाब से व्हाट इज द टाइम डिफरेंस बिटवीन दीज टू? व्हाट शुड बी द टाइम डिफरेंस? 80 मिनट की फर्क है. मतलब 72 and 92 में what is the difference? हाँ, how many degrees difference is there? 72 and 92 it is 20 degrees. ठीक है, because this is also east, this is also east. 20 degrees का फर्क है. 1 degree is equal to how many minutes? 4 minutes. If 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes, 20 degrees equals to 20 into 4. How much? 80 minutes. Right? Now, 1 hour, which is equal to 1 hour plus 20 minutes. So, if suppose the time here is 9 a.m., what will be the time here? I always told those places which are east जो होता है ना, they are always ahead. This longitude is comparatively west of it, so it is behind. So that means if the time is 9 a.m. here, what will be the time here? 1 hour 20 minutes, this will be behind. So the time will be 7:40. But that means, look here, within India itself, the longitudinal variation is very high. Right? Yes. So all of this is a logistical challenge to India, because India is a one country. In this one country, you see, if suppose the time here is 4 a.m. ठीक है? What will be the time here? 2:40? Or else I'll call this as 5 a.m. What will be the time there? If this is 5 a.m., this is 3:40. First, suppose if office time here is, imagine this is 10 a.m. What will be the time here? 10 a.m., 8:40. So, ये सोच लो, actually the time gap between the easternmost part of India and the westernmost part of India is 1 hour 52 minutes when you look into the exact calculations. So it is very difficult for us to manage if you are going for a multiple time zones in India. That's why we only went into one time zone, but this time zone still create problems to us, because सुबह 5 बजे अगर यहाँ पे कोई बंदा नींद से उठ गया, और else 5 o'clock there will be a sunrise, 5:30 को तो sunrise होता है, 1.5 घंटे के बाद सनराइज यहाँ पे होगा, 2 घंटे. इनफैक्ट इंडिया में 1 hour 52 minutes का फर्क होता है, द ईस्टर्न मोस्ट पार्ट एंड द वेस्टर्न मोस्ट पार्ट, नियर टू 2 hours मान के चलो. सो जस्ट इमेजिन ए स्टूडेंट हु वेक्स अप एट मॉर्निंग 5:30 a.m. in the northeast, right? Because that is the time they'll see the sunlight, not in the 5:30. See, in fact, if this is 5:30 here, the time that would be, if 5:30 is here, 1.5 hour it is ahead, right? So near about 7-8, there is a lot of time difference. इस time difference में ना कई सारे दिक्कतें होते हैं, right? For example, government offices opens at 10 a.m. India has only one time zone. ठीक है? Indian Standard Time Zone. All the places in India will go for one time zone. If India itself is going for 10 a.m. पे, you have to go for work. Government offices. Northeast में भी 10 a.m. होगा, right? But the weather conditions there, at 10 a.m. it will be bright sunlight there. 6 बजे ऑफिस बंद होता है गवर्नमेंट का, ठीक है? But 6 p.m. what will be the weather conditions here? Pitch dark, right? At 4 p.m. itself they'll see the darkness, right? Railways, bus services, emergency services, all this is a difficulty that is facing in India because we have a single time zone. We'll come to this and discuss all of this in little more detail, but my agenda is to make you understand the importance of the international time zone. Now, IDZ, that is international date line, how did we come to that 180 degrees and international date line and all? See here, as I'm moving from prime meridian, I'll go east of the prime meridian. You see, you look into this longitudes. What is the longitude on India? 80 degrees east. If I'm going little more, I found 140 east. Then this is 170 east. Look here, the place where you find the exact opposite line of the prime meridian. This is also called as anti-meridian, number 1. It is also called as IDL, international date line, right? Now this is 180 degrees angle, right? Ab, one more thing. What I have done is I have taken from west to east. Sorry, west to east. Now I'll take from east to west. Look here. This is prime meridian. If I am rotating 10 degrees west, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Likewise, the exactly opposite line to it, it will be what? Anti-meridian, that is 180. Right? Are you clear with this? Because I am going to tell a concept here. So what is this? This is west, this is east. Clear? Now see here, if this is the prime meridian, sorry, this is the anti-meridian or international date line. Imagine you have the sun here, right? And this earth will start to see the sunlight, will start to measure. देखो date कहीं ना कहीं measure करना चाहिए ना हमें. If suppose this is the line and this is the sunlight, from this place we'll start to measure the date. ठीक है? East to west. From this particular 179 east, that is the place where we'll start to measure the date. क्योंकि earth is always rotating from west to east. So, if suppose the day starts from this point, the date starts from this point. If suppose today's date is 24th, right? Likewise, the earth starts to rotate. Now, the date will be 24th here. Just multiple places are there. Now, earth is slowly moving in this direction. Slowly moving in this direction. As the sun starts to come onto the one or the other place, we'll start to measure, oh yaar, date starts, day starts. This is how it is. Right? रात को 12 बजे शुरू करते हैं ना डेट. ठीक है? Just imagine that night 12 a.m. that is the time we'll decide date शुरू हो रहा है. So that means at this place everything starts. Anti-meridian, that is the place everything starts, and the sun starts, earth starts to rotate in this direction. So here 12 hours you have sunlight and 12 hours darkness you have. कहीं ना कहीं you call this as a night, you call this as a day. Right? 12 a.m. is the time we have decided that should be the date. First, suppose you just imagine that this is an anti-meridian. If the date is 24th here, what will be the day here? Date here. हाँ ये एंटी मेरिडियन है. ठीक है? This is 179 degrees west. This is 179 degrees east. So online, please tell me. Please tell me. ठीक है, ये 24th है. ठीक है? And this point is 179 degrees east. This is 179 degrees west. So what is the date on the 179 degrees west? क्या? हाँ हाँ. Weather condition 25th या 24th? कैसे? अर्थ ऐसे घूमता है, ऐसे घूमता है? Will it be 24th? See, 24th. If I am telling this is the ideal international date line, this is the line. Chalo, we'll solve this. See, if this is the prime meridian and this is the IDL, ठीक है? If time is 12 a.m. here, okay, I'll come the other way. If the time is at the 179 degrees east, if time is 12 a.m. here, what will be the time at this place? If the time is 12 a.m. here, what will be the time at this place? 12 p.m. ठीक है? ये रात है, ये दिन है, ठीक है? Now what will be the time on the other side? Just 179 degrees west. I told you this is 12 a.m. Now what is the time on the 179 degrees west? I'll call this is 12 a.m. on 24th. What is today's date? ठीक है, let's consider this is 24th May. At 12 a.m. on 179 degrees east, 24th में शुरू हुआ. ठीक है? यहां 24th शुरू हुआ. ठीक है? अब धीरे धीरे, this is 12 p.m. Earth starts to rotate. Earth will start to rotate. Now this 12 p.m. will, when the Earth, this part of the position will come here, it is 12 a.m. there. 24. समझ आ रहा है या not able to understand? चलो. Let's see. For example, international date line पे I'll say this is 12 p.m. is the time. ठीक है? 12 बज के दिन में. Now these are the latitudes. This is ideal. This is 180 degrees और 180 degrees line है. So यहाँ पे time क्या होगा? What is the time at 180? 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. ठीक है? This is 0 degrees. Okay, this is 0 degrees prime meridian. The distance between or the difference between these two is how many degrees? कितने degrees का difference है? ये 180 degree है, ये 0 degree है. What is the difference between the degrees? 180? Now 180 degrees is equal to how many minutes? 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. So 180 degrees is equal to how many minutes? 720 minutes. 720 minutes divided by 60. How much? 12. यहाँ 12 hours का फर्क है ना? Right? That means if it is 12 p.m. here, it will be 12 a.m. here. हमेशा दिन 12 a.m. पे शुरुआत होता है ना? Got it? So likewise, if I directly go to the prime meridian here, anti-meridian here, we have considered this particular line as the international date line, and जैसे ही 12 a.m. होता है यहाँ पर, the day starts. Imagine this is 24th. Now, likewise, you see, from this particular point, this is 180 degrees, right? 180 degrees. This is 0 degrees. So from here to here, there is a 12 hours of difference. Now from this point to the other side of the earth, you go around and come. What will be the difference? I am telling that this is the 24th date. ठीक है? If time is 12 a.m. here, and this is 0, prime meridian, the difference is 180 degrees. 180 degrees is equal to how many minutes? 720 minutes, which is almost equal to 720 by 60, that is hours, which is equal to 12 hours. मतलब यहाँ से यहाँ तक 12 घंटे का फर्क है. अब 0 डिग्री से what you do is you go from the other side of the earth. While you're going from the other side of the earth, you come back again to this place. हाँ, अब आ गया लाइन पे. आपने ऐसे गया एंड अब घूम फिर के अर्थ से यहां तक आ गया. Yes. From here to here, if it is 12 hours difference is there. Right? Now from this point, from this particular point, you went on to the other side of the earth और फिर घूम फिर के आपने यहां तक आ गया. Now how many hours of difference will be there? 12 hours का फर्क है. Right? 12 hours from this place as you go around and 12 hours here. How much? 24 hours. See, basically, if this is the point of the start of the date, if this is 24th, this will be 23rd. Yes. ठीक है? Yes. हमेशा दिन का शुरुआत ना यहां से शुरुआत होता है. That is 179 degrees east. ठीक है? If this is 24th, this is 23rd. For example, I have decided that on 31st of December, I wanted to celebrate New Year twice. मैं कर सकता हूँ? बर्थडे 2 बार सेलिब्रेट कर सकता हूँ? If 24th is my birthday, what I'll do is, रात को 12 बजे I'll be standing here and I'll throw a party. ठीक है? And next, after that, if you look here, the distance between these two places, between Alaska and Russia, it is hardly, this particular distance is just 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers की फर्क है. What I'll do is, here the time is 12 a.m. and at this 12 a.m., वैसे रात है यहाँ पर, 12 a.m. I'll throw a party of my birthday. I'll celebrate here and immediately I'll take a boat or I'll go here, I'll wait for the next day to come and again I will celebrate. ठीक है? बहुत बार कैसे कर सकते हैं? एक ही बार अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलता है, एक दिन का अपॉर्चुनिटी. You can celebrate your birthday for 48 hours. ठीक है? 48 hours तक आपका बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट किया जा सकता है. राइट? नाउ आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क वन मोर क्वेश्चन. If this is international dateline, IDL, I'll call this as, this is east of IDL and this is west of IDL. ठीक है? I'm taking the international dateline as the reference point. I'll call this as east of international dateline, west of international dateline. If suppose, if I'm moving from east to west of the international dateline, am I gaining the day or am I losing the day? चलो, I'll make it little more easier for you again. यहाँ पे the date is, what is today's date? 20th. Now what will be the date here? Right? If I am moving from east of the international dateline to the west of the international dateline, from east of the ideal to the west of the ideal, am I gaining a day or am I losing a day? What is today's date? What is today's date? What is today's day? Now what is here? If I am moving from east of international dateline to the west of the international dateline, am I gaining the day or am I losing the day? There is Pura who is saying online that sir, death भी 2 बार हो सकता है. Yes, but someone has to carry the body to the other side. Right. देखो, if you are able to live 1000 days, If you are gaining the day, you will get 1001 days. Losing a day means you will live only 999 days. Right? In that context, I am telling you. My question is, if we are moving from east of the international dateline to the west of the international dateline, are you gaining a day or are you losing a day? Say it with confidence. What? Are you gaining a day in your lifetime or are you losing a day in your lifetime? I am saying that you are moving from east. That means यहाँ से लेकर आप यहाँ पे पहुँच गया. You actually lose a day. You are in the 19th of today. You have lost this day and you went into the 20th. You have missed. ठीक है? From Sunday, you are directly going to Monday by just crossing this line. Did you not lose your Sunday? यहाँ से यहाँ ट्रैवल करने के लिए केवल आधा घंटा से 1 घंटा टाइम लगता है. अब 1 घंटे में यहाँ से यहाँ गया. 19th में से 20th में पहुँच गया आप. Right? And then you'll say that I have lost my 19th. Right? If you are moving from west of the international dateline to the east of the international dateline, are you gaining a day? In fact, you will gain a day. Okay? From 20th of May, today you are in 20th of May and you have decided that I'll take a boat and I'll go here. Now what is the date there? 19th. You went into the past. In fact, you have gained a day. So examiner confuse करने के लिए ये एक छोटा सा trick use करता है that if you are traveling from east of the international dateline to the west of the international dateline, you will actually east से लेकर if you are going to the west, you will lose. If you are moving from west to east, ठीक है? West to east if you are moving, you will gain. Gaining a day means you will actually gain the previous day. Right? ध्यान से wording समझ लेना. If you are moving from east of the international dateline to the west of the international dateline, I am talking about international dateline. This is east of the international dateline. This is west of the international dateline. East to west, you will lose. West to east, you will gain. शादी 2 बार हो सकती है सर फिर तो. रितिका, यस. शादी 2 बार नहीं, शादी का दिन 2 बार हो सकता है. ठीक है? शादी 2 बार इंडिया में तो लीगल नहीं है. Until and unless you are having the legal separation, until then your marriage is not validated. Recently current affairs में है ये चीज. Right? See, no. You should be divorced only to get married again. In India, as per the Hindu Marriage Act, you are not allowed to go for polygamy, where multiple spouses you cannot have. But see, in this concept, you can celebrate the marriage day twice, birthday twice, or any day twice, but not शादी 2 बार. ठीक है? Look here. We have discussed about torrid zone, Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Cancer, and this is north temperate zone. This is north frigid zone. Now you tell me the latitudes quickly. What is this latitude? What is this? This? ठीक है, ये साउथ पोल एंड दिस इज नॉर्थ पोल 90 डिग्रीज नॉर्थ. ठीक है? ये क्लियर है क्योंकि आगे हम इसी चीज को पढ़ने वाले इन डिटेल में. विल लर्न ए लॉट अबाउट इट एंड सिंपली अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग दैट सन रेज जो है ना, इफ दिस इज द सन और इफ एनी सन रेज, इट कैन डायरेक्टली फॉल ऑन टू दिस प्लेस, बट to reach to these places, the sun rays has to travel in a slanting way. ठीक है? Why is it so much cold in the polar region? It is because, look at this race. The race has to travel longer distances and they will fall at an angle. Now what is the angle here? 90 degrees, perpendicular, Sida. But this race, they are going at an angle. When the race goes at an angle, always the intensity will not be high. That is one of the reasons why you have less sunlight. Now look here. Antarctic Circle, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Equator, Tropic of Cancer, Arctic Circle. Now our international date line, which we thought, it is not a straight line. See, international 180 degree anti-meridian is a straight line. If this is your anti-meridian, your international date line is not a straight line. Why? Your ideal, this is what is your ideal. International date line is this. Look here. It is a zigzag line. ठीक है, ये है आपका इंटरनेशनल डेट लाइन, बट दिस इज योर आइडियल, सॉरी, दिस इज योर एंटी मेरिडियन. Who will tell me why is this line an irregular line? Why not it is a straight line? Yes, the logic is simple. Basically, there are many islands. For example, let's just imagine our India to be here. ठीक है? Just imagine if I'm drawing आधा इंडिया पे it will have one date and half of the India will have a different date. Problematic होगा ना? So what will I do? I'll simply draw this line in such a way. I don't want this line to be in between my country. I'll make a different line like this. Right? If I'm having that international date line passing through India, right? Just imagine that international date line is passing through this classroom. Half of this classroom will be in the yesterday and half of the classroom will be in today. When I move on to this side, I'll say that today. Then when I have to move on this side, I have to say yesterday. Aapka train tickets timing will be different. Dates, booking will be different. You will book in a different way. Government offices, printings, stock markets, financial flows, all these things will have technical hurdles and administrative problems. That's why this international date line is an irregular line only because there are many small islands which are present in these areas. Now all these small islands belong to one particular country. Isiliye, what they have done is they have skipped, to avoid such kind of administrative problems, they have skipped those areas and have drawn this international date line in a zigzag manner itself. Right? Clear? क्या? वेस्ट और ईस्ट जो है ना, डेट जो है वी क्लासिफाई विथ आइडियल इंटरनेशनल डेट लाइन. वेस्ट और ईस्ट वी क्लासिफाई विथ एंटी मेरिडियन इटसेल्फ. बट प्राइमरीली all these lines are drawn for the sake of human being, right? There is no 180 degree meridian line which we can see. It is only an imaginary line. Now by using these imaginary lines, today we calculate time and we are able to travel from one place to another place. Right? अगर किसी को ये कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में नहीं आया ना, what you do is simple है, you take this earth and draw this prime meridian. From here, if you draw the latitudes, now you draw 180 longitudes on this side and 180 longitudes on this side. If time is 12 p.m. here, okay, time is 12 p.m. and this is 22nd, right? If you are going 180 degrees east of it, how many hours this particular 180 degrees east will be ahead of you? सी सिंपल है, ये तो ईस्ट है ना, चलो मैं तो थोड़ा टाइम ले लिया आपको समझाने के लिए, बट दिस इज कॉल्ड एज ईस्ट, दिस इज कॉल्ड एज वेस्ट हेमिस्फीयर्स. नाउ 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. This calculation you know, right? Now if 180 degrees में how many hours ahead it is there? 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. Now this is 180 degrees ahead is there. 180 degree is equal to how many minutes? If 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes, which is almost equal to 720 minutes by 60, which is almost equal to 12 hours. That means this particular place, 180 degree east, it is 12 hours plus. Now the same point, this point and this point. If you are traveling all the way from here to the opposite side, this is the point you will reach. And if you are traveling all the way, this is the point you will reach. Now this 180 degrees, this is 12 hours minus. As you are moving from towards the west, you will be delayed time. You will be ahead of time. Right? If 12 p.m. on the 22nd day, at 179 degrees east, what will be the time? If I am asking, 12 p.m. on 22nd is the time on the Greenwich meridian. What is the time and date on 179 degrees east? मतलब मेरा पॉइंट ये है, आप घूम कर, दिस इज द पॉइंट, ठीक है. आई एम आस्किंग द व्हाट इज द टाइम हियर. इफ 12 PM हियर, दैट विल बी 12 AM. हाँ, ऐड हो जाएगा. ये 12 बजकर आफ्टरनून 12 बज रहा है, वहां पर 12 AM होगा. ठीक है. डेट कौन सा होगा? 22 ही होगा ना. वहां पे शुरू हुआ. ठीक है. यहां पर भी जो टाइम है, दिस 22nd टाइम विल बी 12 AM. नाउ यू टेल मी व्हाट विल बी द टाइम एट 179 डिग्रीज ईस्ट और 179 डिग्रीज वेस्ट. यस, वो 21st होगा. बस ये 21st होगा. वहां पर भी 12 AM ही है. एक दिन का फर्क होता है पूरा. राइट? हाँ, 24 आवर्स का फर्क है. इन सिंपल टर्म्स व्हाट आई विल डू इज, यू ट्राई टू वॉच दिस थ्रू वन ऑफ द, मतलब आप खुद ही ड्रॉ करके आप ट्राई कर सकते हो. इट थिंग्स विल बिकम ईजियर. दैट मीन्स इफ आई एम टेकिंग दिस इंटरनेशनल डेट लाइन इन सिंपल टर्म्स, इफ आई टेक 2 पॉइंट्स, इमेजिन दिस इज 1 पॉइंट. ये है आपका इंटरनेशनल डेट लाइन. दिस इज पॉइंट ए, दिस इज पॉइंट बी. नाउ सेम लॉजिक यू अप्लाई. This is 21st, this is 22nd. If you are getting confused, dates तो पता चल जाएगा. 22nd, this is 21st, right? The day started here, or it takes 24 hours to come back again, right? So this is how the time calculations are there. Now this time calculations, you look into India, the easternmost point of India to the westernmost point of India, there is a variation of near about, look here, 97 and 68. This is the longitudes of India. Between 97 and 68, how many degrees variation is there? Between 97 and 68, how many degrees variation is there? Online? So what if if we follows the same date and time of yes, how many degrees? And why did we take this 82.5 degrees line, 82.5 degrees east line as the Indian standard time or Indian standard meridian line? क्योंकि between 97 and 68, the middle line is 82.5. Between 97 and 68, what is the central line? That is 82.5. Right? So from 68 to 97, if it is 29 degrees, 1 degree is equal to 4 minutes. So 29 degrees is equal to how many minutes? एक सौ 16 minute, which is 1 hour. How much? Right? There is a time gap of 1 hour 56 minutes for the sunrise time in India to the easternmost and the westernmost part. So here the difficulties are that recently, if you look into the current affairs, that this part of the region is asking for a separate time zone. Okay? But we did not agree to that. The Home Ministry said we cannot give you. Now the name of this time zone is Chai Bagan time zone. Okay? Now what is this Chai Bagan time zone? Chai Bagan time zone matlab Assam area and all. Tea gardens में सुबह सुबह ही early morning they go and they wanted to pick up the leaves of the tea. So चाय बागन मतलब चाय बाग्स होते हैं ना, वहाँ पे सुबह सुबह जाना पड़ता है उनको. So इसीलिए वो कहते हैं चाय बागन टाइम जोन हमें दे दो. This is the wording that they use. In literal terms, if you look into the difficulties that they face is very, very difficult. Now, where is the capital city? Delhi. राइट? दिल्ली में पार्लियामेंट कितने बजे शुरू होता है? 9-10. ठीक है, दिस इज द टाइम ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट. नाउ गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स स्टार्ट्स एट 10 AM. ठीक है. सी हियर, इफ सपोज देयर इज अ पर्सन हु इज देयर इन गुजरात, लेट्स जस्ट इमेजिन देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन 1 hour 50 minutes. इफ सन जो है ना, सन राइजेस एट 5, समर्स में तो 5:30 को ही आप यू कैन सी द लाइट, राइट? 5:30 AM, this is the time at which a person who is staying in the westernmost part of the Gujarat is able to see the light. Right? Now, look at this. The person who is standing here, at what time will they see the light? What time? 3:30 बजे, 3 AM itself. If they are following the Indian standard time, the person, ठीक है, अगर यहाँ पे 5:30 आ रहा है तो वहाँ पे it is 3 AM itself you will see the light. प्रॉब्लम होगा ना अगर कोई बच्चा सुबह 3:30 बजे उठा, क्योंकि your biological clock is always with respect to the light. So if that kid is waking up at morning 3 AM, 3:30 AM, and he has to go to school at 9 AM in the morning. Usually the school timings are at 8 AM. If they are following the person who is there in the easternmost, they are following the Indian standard time, and they have to wait for another 5 hours to go to school. School shuts at what time? 3:30 शाम को. वहाँ का इवनिंग टाइम 4 बजे वहाँ पे अंधेरा हो जाता है. राइट? Now government officers and all, it is a difficult task. इंडिया का प्राइम टाइम न्यूज चैनल जो है, अर्नब गोस्वामी आके, द नेशन वांट्स टू नो, ही सेज, बट बिफोर इवन ही सेज द नेशन वांट्स टू नो, दे विल बी इन द डीप स्लीप. सो अब हमारा क्वेश्चन ये है, शुड वी हैव टू गिव a separate time zone to this part of the region? Is the demand of this Chai Bagan time zone valid? Yes, दे दिया तो. So, is there any other country which has multiple time zones? Yes? Russia. If you can open your map, you will see that this kind of problems are being faced by how many countries? Those countries which have very wide latitudinal area. ठीक है, wide latitudinal areas, if you look into, look at Russia, from here to here. Now you see a person who is there in this part, let's call this as A, let's call this as B. ठीक है? What is the longitude, look at India, between these two itself we have near about 2 hours of difference. Now what about A and B in Russia? 10 to 12 hours ka farak hoga, right? Now look at Canada. There's a lot of difference. So likewise, this country will have multiple time zones. Administration ke hisab se, it will have multiple time zones. Now multiple time zones are common. Now you tell me, which country in the world has the highest number of time zones? I'll give you options. Okay? He already told the answer, it's France. Now why France has highest number of time zones? It is not Russia, it is not USA, it is not Canada. But France, it is having the highest number of time zones. It is because France is a country which has overseas territories. You look, this little country, it has territory here also, it has territory here also, here also, here also. Right? जैसे India का islands Andaman Nicobar है ना? Andaman Nicobar also follows the Indian Standard Time itself. Whatever is the time in India, time is also same for Andaman Nicobar. But for France, if they are following the same time zone, if the government offices opens at 10 a.m. here, वहाँ पे रात को 10-11 बजता है. That is the time they have to work. So this is not practically possible. That's why they'll go for different time zones. But in India, we are not in a position to give a different time zone to the Chai Bagan. It is because if you give a separate time zone, the Home Ministry has said that giving a separate time zone alienates them. Already the northeastern part of India has separatist tendencies with few extremist activities. So if you are giving a separate time zone, that gives an indication of alienation. So that's why the Home Ministry did not give. Rather, the solution, कुछ ना कुछ solution भी तो होना चाहिए ना. If a problem is there, you have to find solution. Now, what is the solution that Home Ministry gave to the Northeast, and it is still in implementation? It is in implementation. So what is that solution? School का timings change कर दिया. Means the school timing, instead of at 8 a.m., their school starts at 6 a.m. in the morning. 6 a.m. in the sense Indian Standard Time 6 a.m. But the weather conditions there, it will be sunny. ठीक है? Like that. Government offices, they function 1.5 hours earlier. And they shut 1.5 hours. Government offices timing in the New Delhi, it is from 10 a.m. ठीक है? But in Assam and especially in Nagaland, the government offices timing will be 8 a.m. in the morning. Sunny hai 8 a.m. pe. So likewise, we have adjusted those school timings. But yes? Now 1 hour 52 minutes we have advanced it. That's it. We did not give a separate time zone to the Northeast. Rather, what we have done is, if the school ka timings early kar diya, the school will start at 6:30 a.m. there or 7 a.m. in the morning there. Okay? And that's the reason why one of the biggest issue is that you go to any cricket matches there. Okay? I myself played cricket in Tripura long back, not now, a decade before. I used to play Ranji Trophy there. So timings are quite different. At 3:30 or 4 p.m. in the evening, you will see darkness all over. And in winters, it is almost at 3:30 itself. Okay? So that means your match starts at morning 5 a.m. in the morning there. So cricket, sports, even schooling, exercising activity, all these things are taken into consideration and changed accordingly. So this is what is the concept of latitude and longitude. Longitude helps in calculation of time. Latitude helps in the movement from north to south, east to west. North to south. It will help in traveling. Now, together with latitude and longitude, you can move across the places of the earth. How? First, suppose if I take this as 0 degrees latitude and this as prime meridian, 0 degrees longitude. If suppose this is the place, what is the latitude and longitudinal coordinates? 0 degrees and 0 degrees. But if I take this as 23.5 degrees north, and what is this? 0 degrees. ठीक है? 0 degrees is the prime meridian, and this is 23.5 degrees north. But if I take this latitudes and multiple longitudes and latitudes, it will help me to travel from one place to another place by giving the coordinates. Now coordinates is nothing but the place in which you are sitting, the IAS hub. IAS hub has an address. Address on the latitude and longitudinal address hota hai iska. Swiggy, Zomato, they type the IAS hub, but on the back end, they always track the coordinates. For example, IAS hub is located here. Okay, just imagine. What is this? It is on the longitudinal activity. If you see, let's imagine this particular longitude is somewhere around 82 degrees east. Now latitude is 23.5 degrees north. Suppose this point X, I'll call it as IAS hub. IAS hub is 82 degrees east and 23.5 degrees north. If suppose I'll take this place, this is 96 degrees longitude and this is 22 degrees latitude, south. Okay? What is the coordinates here? The coordinates are 96 degrees east and 22 degrees south. If you wanted to go to this place, from this place to this place. Yes? So these latitudes and longitudes will help you to travel. If there is a ship, if it wants to travel in this direction, it will move, it will set the coordinates and it will move in that direction. So both latitudes and longitudes together will help in the navigation. Longitudes will help in the calculation of the time. Latitudes, they help in the movement of north to south direction. Right? Now this is the concept of latitude and longitude. See, he says, sir, what is the between the boxes? How do we calculate? Now we have such big technologies. It doesn't matter where it is. Look here. He says, sir, if the point is here, how do we move? Right? Now this is 130 degrees west. There will be a line. This is 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126. Okay? Small number of longitudes, sublatitudes are also there, sublongitudes are also there. So exact coordinates will be there. ठीक है? जितने मर्जी हो उतना डिग्रीज हमने कैलकुलेट किया, सैटेलाइट के साथ हमने मैप किया. Today we use GPS. GPS is, what is that GPS? Global Positioning System. The Global Positioning System means, what does it do is, it has drawn all the latitudes and longitudes by using the satellites. And today, from this point, if you want to go to this point, the GPS will help you in positioning. ठीक है? Positioning means, it will tell you that this is 20 degrees north, this is 19 degrees north, and this is 122 plus 122 degrees west. This is the address. Right? And you are somewhere here 135 degrees west with 0 degrees equator. From here to here, the positioning will be set. It will help you in the movement. This is what is GPS. Right? All the concept of time, navigation works on latitudes and longitudes itself. अब आप देखो, the sizes of the boxes. ठीक है? ठीक है? Look here. The distance between two latitudes is same, more or less. Right? Nearly same, not exactly the same. But the distance between two longitudes, is it same? See here. If this is prime meridian, or just imagine this is a longitude. This is a longitude. This is a longitude. Equator पे सबसे ज़्यादा distance होता है. As you move away from the equator, the distance between two longitudes is reducing. ठीक है? ये देखो, यहाँ देखो, equator पे ये दो latitudes की longitudes के बीच में size ज़्यादा है, and then the distance between two longitudes is lesser. As you go towards the poles, all the longitudes will come and join it, North Pole. Right? And the circumference length of the latitudes will also be reduced. Right? The smallest circumference and the shortest distance between two longitudes is always near to the poles. Examiner ये सब चीजें पूछ सकता है, कंफ्यूज करने के लिए क्षमता है. All these things can be seen there. Are you clear with this concept? अब look at this diagram. This is your international dateline. As you are moving from west to east, ठीक है? I am only considering about if this is taken as the central line, this is called as the east and this is called as the west. If you are moving from west to east, are you gaining or losing? You are gaining a day. ठीक है? If you are moving from east to west, you will subtract a day. You will actually lose a day. In fact, subtract a day or lose a day, this will be easier. Basically, here it is 19th, here it will be 20. Right? So, from 20th of May, you are going into 19th of May. That is west to east if you are going. You are losing a day. But if you are moving from east to west, 19 से 20, you will lose a day. Yes. So you will lose a day here, you will gain a day here. ये concept clear है ना? Right? अगर किसी को समझ नहीं आया, कुछ नहीं, just try to watch the earth and do it little more practically, things will be easier for you. अगर समझ नहीं आया, tomorrow as a revision, I'll explain in the first 10 to 15 minutes. Right? We'll do some exercises as well. क्या? Jet lag. देखो, jet lag का concept more or less is also related to this. Basically, you see here, our India, which is there, India and US के बीच में there's a difference of 12 hours near about. वहाँ पे people are working, if it is night here, there's a day there. You are actually traveling from daytime to night time. मतलब day end of the time period to night end of the time period you are traveling. That is why you will have a jet lag. Jet lag is nothing but जब you are traveling from India to US, what exactly are you doing, you know, in literal terms? आप रात को काम करने वाले हो. You are a day boy, you are working in the night. You will have to change your entire sleep cycle. Yes. And that becomes a normalization to you. All of a sudden I'll ask Shaurya, आप दिन में पढ़ाई बंद करो, रात को पढ़ाई स्टार्ट करो. I'll ask you to sleep all the day. Isn't it a difficult task for you? You have been doing it for the last 15-20 years. 20 years मान के चलो. All of a sudden you travel to US. And US you have to change your habits. Oh, that is what is jet lag. ठीक है? Jet lag. क्योंकि USA, they come, they got the habit of sleeping at US timetables. And as soon as they come to India, they have to follow Indian timetables. That is how things will work. Now coming to the concept of, first let's quickly take the notes for this and then we'll move to the concept of latitude and longitude. Are you clear with this Chai Bagan time zone as well? So Chai Bagan time zone का ऊपर अगर कोई articles आया ना, please make sure to write those articles in your notes in the current affairs itself. Things will be easier for you in the further time period. So quickly write down these points. Write one sentence. Longitudes are imaginary semicircles. Longitudes are imaginary semicircles. Longitudes are imaginary semicircles running from North Pole to South Pole. Running from North Pole to South Pole. Now there's an online question that Purav Saini has asked, sir, what if we follow the same date and time of America? Is it beneficial for India except the day or night? No, it is not beneficial to India. Except the day or night, I completely understand, but it is not beneficial to India. Prints very good, same day, but 12 times. Purav has asked, sir, within India, is there a concept of losing a day and gaining a day? No. Because India follows only one single time zone. No matter whether you are in Assam or whether you are in the Gujarat, you have the same time, but different weather. Different weathers, different weather conditions, but same time. Once you have written, let me know. See, no, the distant part is, first let me tell you what Shaurya's question is. He asked, sir, Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep ka distance काफी ज़्यादा है. Is there any problem between them with respect to this longitudinal time issues? No. देखो, time weather conditions का problem हो सकता है. ठीक है? Actually, the farthest distance between two places in India is Arunachal Pradesh and Gujarat. It's not Lakshadweep and the Andaman Nicobar. Right? Definitely there is a problem. Problem is with respect to the weather conditions. When it is too sunny in Lakshadweep, by then Andaman Nicobar might be facing the evening times. So there is a 2-hour delay, near about 1.5 to 2 hours delay is there in India. And this is a serious problem. We have addressed it through local time variations. मतलब school timings change कर दिया हमने. We have changed the working hours time periods. All these times we have changed. But we are not willing to give a separate time zone. It is because of the national security. Because if you give a separate time zone to them, or the people who are staying in the northeast, they will feel little alienated. This is the point of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Because already separatist tendencies are active there, especially the Alpha, the NSCN, Northeast, these areas. Done? Okay. Now look here, this is actually the shape of the earth. The literal shape of the earth is this. This is the satellite based mapping. और ये जो blue color दिख रहा है ना, ये depression है. ठीक है? Indian Ocean. कहीं जगह bulge है, कहीं bulge नहीं है. Irregular shape of the earth. Yes? Green, this, it's a depth saucer. ये Indian Ocean है ना? हाँ. Red is not bulged. It is also depth. Basically, here you have bulged South America and all. This is, and ocean. This is also ocean. Here you have a bulged area. So our Earth literal shape is this. Geoid, it is flat here. It is also flat here. Okay. Now today, the next topic what we will be doing is we'll be going for the concept of seasons. And why do we have 6 months of sunlight at the North Pole, 6 months of sunlight at the South Pole, at darkness? Why do we have this varying seasons? Right? So, isse pehle I have to explain you few concepts. That is, what is the area of illumination, intensity of light? These two concepts you need to be clear. Right? So, आपने ये सुना होगा ना, that in the North Pole for 6 months it is sunlight, it will be there. And rest of the 6 months, it is full of darkness. Now, why so? Because Earth is tilted. I told you, the day when Earth is tilted, that is when our syllabus also increased. So basically, you see here, if I have the sunlight, just imagine, instead of this torch, this is a sun. Okay? Look here. Look at the fundamental difference. This is case A, this is case B. Which circle is bigger? Is the case B circle or case A circle? B circle is bigger. Now just imagine this torchlight is the sun. Sunlight is falling on a smaller area. Okay? Now the same sunlight is falling on a larger area. Right? Will A receive more amount of heat or B receive more amount of heat? Yes. A is receiving sunlight directly, so that's the reason why A have better sunlight and strong sunlight. That means here you have more heat and here you have less heat. Do you agree with me? Okay. Now same concept, you see, if I am taking this earth, now this sunlight is falling on a very small surface area. Especially at the equator, what happens is that the sunlight comes and falls very directly. And it covers a very small surface area, the same amount of heat. Okay? Let's imagine 100 units of heat is falling in the small area. But when you go to the polar region, so this is how your polar regions are. The same sunlight, if it is falling, it falls on a larger, see, the rays has to travel further larger distances, and in a slanting manner they are covering a larger surface area. Okay? The fundamental difference why as you go towards the northern parts, as you go far away into the temperate region, as you go far away into the frigid zones, the light intensity is less. Why? Because here the sunlight is falling directly and here the sunlight is falling in a slanting area, and that rays will be covering a larger surface area. Okay? Surface area matlab samajhte ho? This is a larger area. I'll call this as surface area, and this is a smaller surface area. So imagine there are 4 rays that are coming and the 4 rays are falling in a smaller area. So गर्मी ज़्यादा होगा यहाँ पर. But here गर्मी कम होता है क्योंकि they are covering a larger area. That's it. This is the reason why as you go far away from the equator, if this is the equator पे heat is more. And here the heat received is less. Right? So, this is the concept of intensity of sun's rays and the surface area. Now, look at the same concept here. Imagine this is the A or B, any case. These rays are falling in a small surface area and the same rays are falling in a larger surface area. So, isliye this area will receive less amount of heat surface पे and this area will be receiving more amount of heat. और ऊपर से if suppose I am covering this area with a layer of snow. ठीक है? What happens? These rays for few months, if they are coming, they are reflected. और जमीन कहां पर है? जमीन अंदर है. That is, the rocks are somewhere beneath. So if there is snow, snow will always reflect. So basically, this reflection is called as albedo. The albedo is high near to the polar region. It is because of the fresh snow is present there. Albedo is nothing but the reflection of the sun's rays. Rather, it will not let the heat receive to the surface. Clear? Yes? एल्बिडो और भी है, आगे आगे मैं समझा दूंगा. ठीक है? एल्बिडो जितना ज़्यादा होगा उतना हीट कम होता है. उसके अलावा बादल भी होता है, आइस. ठीक है? क्लाउड्स ऑल्सो प्लेस अ वाइटल रोल. दीज थिंग्स विल लर्न इन द फर्दर टाइम पीरियड, बट धीरे धीरे आई एम इंट्रोड्यूसिंग यू द कॉन्सेप्ट्स. ओके. नाउ सी, you already know the concept that Earth is tilted 23.5 degrees Celsius. Now here I have to tell you the concept of area of illumination. Now what do you mean by area of illumination? Area of illumination means the total area which is covered by the sunlight at a given point of time. The total area covered by the sunlight on the earth at a given point of time. ठीक है? The total area covered by the sunlight at a given point of time. Now this area of illumination is always 50% on the earth. ठीक है. The area of illumination of the sunlight on the earth is 50%. अब let me try to explain you what is this area of illumination. See, if this is the earth, let's take two cases. One, this earth is having a straight axis. ठीक है. But this earth is having a tilted axis. In the tilted axis, you will have all the longitudes, latitudes, everything is tilted. And which is our real earth? Is A our real earth or B our real earth? B is our real earth. Now in the B real earth, let's try to find out how the relationship between the sun and the earth is there. Now let's imagine this is the sun. ठीक है. When the sun rays are sent, see, sun will always cover 50% of our earth. That means this rays will reach that means this part of the region is covered with the sunlight. Right? Now this is North Pole and this is South Pole. Clear? But in the case of this, earth is tilted. You know that earth is tilted. Here the issue is, when you look into, imagine this is North Pole and this is South Pole. So let me get the sun here. This is the sun. I told you area of illumination is always 50%. That means sunlight will cover 50% of our earth. So let's see that this sun will cover 50% of our earth with the light. Right? 50% of the earth. Now the mistake is that earth axis is tilted. So in such a conditions, you see that this part of the earth will be having sunlight and this part of the earth will not be having sunlight. ठीक है? This part of the earth shall not be having sunlight. Now, does the North Pole has sunlight? South Pole? नहीं है. अगर अर्थ tilted ना होता, North Pole has sunlight, South Pole has sunlight. Equator के पास हमेशा must sunlight होता है. Very good sunlight will be there. So, look here. The primary reason is that why you have 6 months of near to 6 months, not exactly 6 months, 6 months of darkness and 6 months of sunlight at one or the other pole. Right? Yes. Now, this is our real earth. अब ये तो clear हो गया ना? This is not our earth, so I'll remove this. Right? And one more thing. Look here. Earth never stays at its own place. Earth also revolves. Revolving is, sometimes the earth will be here. After some time, the earth will come here. After 3 months. Again, the earth will be positioned somewhere here. After that, the earth will be positioned. It takes 365 days plus 1/4 of a day to revolve one full orbit. Okay? To make one full checker around the orbit, it will take 365 days. Now, in this 365 days, your earth will be positioned like this. First, after 3 months, it will be here. Now, after 3 months on its orbit, your earth will be positioned somewhere here. Now, this is North Pole, this is South Pole. Right? Again, after 3 months, your earth will be positioned here. So, let's imagine this is the case of this particular case जो है, the sun rays which are directly falling in this part of the area. Let's call this in the month of June. ठीक है? This is the case of June. June 6 महीने के बाद our earth will be somewhere in the month of January. So January में क्या होता है? Look at the sun, area of illumination. You see, area of illumination is always 50%. Area of illumination मतलब जहां पे धूप पड़ता है. अब अर्थ tilted है, तो आप देख लो, only 50% of the earth will have sunlight, right? So you see, this is the area of the sunlight. Now, if this is your south pole and this is your north pole, you tell me, do you have sunlight in the month of January? Do you have sunlight at the north pole? No. क्यों नहीं है? देखो, this is your axis, no? This is your axis. Your north pole is here, south pole is here. Now this is your axis. You have to remember one thing. Earth axis will always be in the same line. Look at this. This is your axis and this is your axis. ठीक है? Earth ना ऐसे घूमते घूमते, if my hand is the axis, Earth will rotate like this. Earth will not turn like this and rotate in this manner. ठीक है? Earth हमेशा, it will tilt. It is tilted 23.5 degrees and it will rotate in this direction. So Earth is rotating here. फिर थोड़ा आगे गया, it is rotating here. Then it went here, rotating, and then rotation. Rotation is all a daily activity. Revolution is the Earth moving around the sun. ठीक है? Revolution is when Earth moves around the sun. Rotation is Earth moving around itself. Now, if you look closely into this particular lines, ठीक है? Look at this axis. देखो, only draw this axis between the months of, this is the month of June, July, August, this is the month of September, and this is the month of January. In the month of January, there is no sunlight at the North Pole. So, ये complete darkness है. And here, this is March. Do not draw the Earth. Draw only the axis in each of this month. Are they parallel to each other? Look at this. I'll only draw the axis. June and September. Are these parallel to each other? Yes. Now from September to January, are these parallel to each other? Right? March and January. If I take, are they parallel? Now this particular activity is called as axial parallel. The Earth is always having its axis parallel to its previous position. ठीक है? Earth हमेशा उसका जो axis है ना, to its previous position it will have parallel angle. Now this is called as axial parallel. ठीक है? कई सारे बच्चों को ये डाउट होता है, while they study this Earth, what do? Is they imagine like this. Now this Earth, how do they imagine is, then they fail to understand these concepts. ठीक है? If this Earth is there, so they'll imagine like this. This is North Pole, this is South Pole. No. Earth will never change its axis. Earth will have its own axis the same way. थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर हिलते रहते हैं. Yes. ठीक है? यहाँ तक clear है? And we'll end the class here, and tomorrow's class I'll explain in detail about the positions of the Earth, equinox, solstice, and then we'll move towards the interior of the Earth. Here, after this, I'll explain the various layers of the atmosphere, and then we'll move towards the interior of the Earth. No. I'll explain that tomorrow. ठीक है? Because I have to explain the right angle concept also. Equator पे हमेशा longest day नहीं होता. Longest day will always keeps on changing. See, June 21st, the longest day will be at Tropic of Cancer. On September 22nd, the longest day will be at equator. On Jan 22nd, the longest day will be at Tropic of Capricorn. March, it will have equal length of day and night on March 22nd. I'll explain all of this tomorrow why you have. Right? Latitude and longitude concept ये 6th class के NCERT में दिया होता है. थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ लेना. I have already given what are the chapters to be read in climatology, and tomorrow we'll meet. Thank you online. Or those who have missed the class, please ask them to come tomorrow. If your friends are there. देखो ये बेसिक्स अगर समझ नहीं आया ना, बाद में ऐसा लगता है यार ज्योग्राफी बहुत मुश्किल है. ठीक है, बेसिक्स अगर समझ नहीं आया तो ये सब्जेक्ट समझ नहीं आएगा. एंड इफ यू डिड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ टाइम, come to me into the cabin tomorrow before the class. I'll explain it again. Right? क्लास से पहले आ जाना मेरे पास. Right? Thank you online.